Okay, hey everyone. It's 3 after, so I'm gonna get started here. So far, it's just me. Scott is jumping in and out, and some other people may also be jumping in and out, but you may just for
Mhm.
the time being. Oh, perfect timing.
Hey.
I'm HYC. I actually just started. Look at that. Scott's also gonna be popping in here in a second. Isthmus says he sends his best regards. He is busy doing good things for the world, cleaning up trash from
Well,
riverbeds. So he's clearly having a more productive Saturday than most people here. But you know, he sends his regards, and Co also sends their regards. Hopefully, Scott will join here in a second, like I said. But thanks everyone for joining. Welcome to this month's Monero Meet. If you have questions, comments, anything, you can put those in chat. I'm watching it over here. So yeah, fun stuff as always. But I wanted to kick things off with just the celebration that all of the OpenCCS proposals were funded. So that was for a total among all the proposals for 263.6 XMR, which is pretty cool. That's about the same that was raised for Monero Talk about a month ago. So that's really cool to see the consistency there. Those include, just to run through them real quick, and you can see all of these on ccs.getmonero.org. But Ercicione's proposal to work on the website was funded. Celsta's development work was funded. Netrix translation manager, project manager position was funded. Binary Baron funded had a funded proposal to work on a Monero Bitcoin atomic swap desktop GUI. Co was funded to work on Seraphis work, and Valdrak was funded to work on Mali IM, which is a fork of Signal that has a few changes to it that try to make it a little bit more FOSS oriented and a little bit more security and privacy oriented. So that's in my opinion the biggest news in the Monero ecosystem in the last month, is that all these cool projects are funded, and they were funded in just a matter of 2 or 3 days, I would say. So that was pretty cool. But of course, I also want to thank you HYC for joining us. Thank you, Scott. Want to say a few words or whatever?
no, nothing right now. What questions you got?
No, it doesn't have to be an interview, you know.
Yeah,
Well, welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully Mike is working this time around.
It
there
is.
you are.
It is.
Okay.
Thank you for working through all that. Vic and James are saying hi in chat, and they're saying amazing funding. And also, of course, just your typical HYC fan club that comes through for these. That's cool. Yeah, so that was obviously pretty cool. I think another thing to note, in both the Monero Dev meeting that occurred last week and the Monero Research Lab meeting that occurred last week, all signs point to Monero increasing its ring size from 11 to 16, which is actually the largest increase if you're just counting by numbers. So the largest absolute increase in Monero's history, because in the past 7 to 11, that was an increase of 4, and now we're increasing at 5. So woohoo, we did it.
Not quite logarithmic growth, but
no, not quite. Not quite. We're trying though. I think there was definitely some frustration because we there's discussion about, should we do binning, should we not do binning, and the idea of binning is basically saying, okay, for each output, should you have or decoy, you can think of two, should we have another decoy or real output or whatever that's selected around the same time period, just so that there's more anonymity over that specific time window. And this has been thrown around quite a few times. Almost every Monero research paper focuses on suggesting this one way or another. And there, to some extent, you lose some of the full time spent history if you're selecting only over the half or a third or whatever number of fewer time periods than you would if you just did a pure spread out distribution or selection distribution. But it's something to weigh against having better anonymity over that certain time period. So it's really complex. And some people were just like, well, screw it, let's just do ring size 22, right? That way we have the same, it's clearly better in every way, and we don't have to do any trade-offs. But I think most people felt comfortable with just picking something like 16 and running with it for the time being. So, any comments on that from either of you? I know it's the ring size is something that's pretty common to bike shed because it's like a specific number that you can argue about. So people, it's like just approachable enough for people to be like this or that or this or that, and they think they kind of know it, and it ends up being a lot of work to change the ring size because it's something where everyone just jumps in with an opinion on. So that being said, what are the two of your opinions on ring sizes?
Picking a power of 2 was good. It should have been I mean, otherwise we should have picked a prime number, you know.
Yeah. I know that there's definitely some people that are going to miss the prime numbers, myself included. It was just one of those things that we had, but if we go to anything else in the future, we're going to have to get away from prime numbers anyway. So I guess might as well go for the power of 2. Is that a fair way to look at it?
Well, I mean, that's going to make some of the math easier down the road. So power of 2 is a better choice. Yeah.
I think we should start thinking about what to name this next update. We haven't opened the GitHub issue for that yet, but that's going to be a whole thing. I think I can make the ranked choice voting poll. What I need to remember what the current name of the release is. Let me just quickly look that up.
Aren't we on Oxygen Orion or something?
Yeah, I think so. It must. I think it. Yeah. So we're not just going to jump straight to tungsten then, sadly, right? To take full advantage of the meme. I think we might have to go with.
Yeah, because I think the last one was like Omicron from Futurama was one of the names people were suggesting.
All right, so what do we got for fluorine?
Yeah.
Well,
goodness, that's going to take some thinking.
That's right. Nothing off the top of the head.
All right, so all of you watching, you're going to have to come up with a pretty creative name for Monero's next update that includes fluorine. Fluorine, some celestial body or something to tie to fluorine somehow.
Fluorine flamingo.
Fluorine flamingo. What is that? What celestial body is flamingo?
I'm sure there's a constellation.
I have to say that definitely is the way it works sometimes. It's like I'm gonna choose this name and I'm really gonna hope that there's something I can justify for why that's
I mean, it's space. There's so many celestial bodies. How could there not be?
Exactly. Someone's asking why fluorine. So Monero does the way that we do our nomenclature is we advance one by one along the periodic table. So it was oxygen. Before that, it was nitrogen. Now it's fluorine. So got to pick something to go with it. That's why I was joking about just skipping straight to tungsten. The only time it's been broken so far was in memory of Wolfram. Was
Warp Tangent.
Warp Tangent. So it was named Wolfram Warp Tangent. That was the only time it's been broken, as far as I know.
Which Wolfram is coincidentally tungsten, right?
I do. Oh goodness. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. We were ahead of the curve.
We're always ahead of the curve.
Someone's saying fluorine fornax.
Fornax. Oh, yeah. Doesn't really roll off the tongue, though, does it?
I don't know if anything fluorine rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, and if the person who asked is wondering, it's a pretty common thing. Well, relatively common thing amongst open source projects. So like Ubuntu, I think it is. I don't keep track of their names too well, but I think at one point one of the releases was named like was it Disco Dingo? So you have releases that do alliterative releases going through the kind of Roman alphabet. So Monero carries on that trope. practice. So,
Yeah, except we don't go in alphabetical order, we go in element order.
Why is that? Just so we could pretend to be better than other people, or what?
Well,
Like,
just,
oh, look at us. We have this fancy other thing.
I mean, what the heck's the ordering for Debian naming, huh? Buster and
You're more likely to know the answer to that question than me.
it's better that we actually have a defined order than a random one, isn't it?
yeah, for sure.
It is going to be interesting when we get to some of these longer element names down the line, though. Like,
What? Ruthenium, Einsteinium.
germanium. What are you supposed to do with germanium?
Gemini.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Germanium Gemini. Maybe, well, if it was actually Monero was actually on Gemini, then that would be. Congrats. You heard it here first. We're only 20 some odd releases away from Monero being on Gemini.
Oh well.
No, but I'll have to open up the GitHub issue for this so that people can start submitting names. It's always a fun time, and it's a good way for people to join in and be a part of the ecosystem. Naming is pretty important, so we it's a good thing to outsource to the community. Someone's saying Dennis Goddard is saying it's fitting for Monero to be science themed. Plus, we have a whole research labs. So, yeah, I guess. I'm not sure how much they study the periodic table, but by all means, it is a thing. What else? Oh, so sadly, along with the ring size increase, people seem to have agreed on that, but we haven't agreed on a release date yet. So that's still up in the air. So I don't have someone was asking me, when is this going to be implemented? I don't know. I don't know. I hope soon, but I think it's sort of a when it happens sort of deal. So
Yeah, I would think probably not during this year, simply because of the adoption since last hard fork, and then we're going into kind of the winter holidays. So you have from like a infrastructure kind of, I guess, viewpoint, a lot of devs are going to be out on vacation for whatever software or business has already adopted Monero, so it's going to be harder for them to potentially transition to the new fork and so forth. So,
well, I mean, we did the RandomX rollout on November 30th, so I mean, there weren't any issues then.
I feel like maybe it was just the chaos of 2017, but I remember being busy around Christmas with something.
I feel like, though, that still followed the relatively established release cycle of every 6 months, though, right? The April hard fork, then late October-ish
Yeah.
hard fork. So there was an expectation to some degree already of a hard fork then. But
Didn't we do one of the first hard forks, or maybe the very first, the first major update? I think it was like January 1st or something one year. Going like way back to 2016 or 2015.
Oh, could be, yeah. January, February sounds familiar.
Yeah. I think we just keep pushing it back. Like, it was January, then it became April, then it was 6 months plus an extra month or two.
Right.
That's what it kind of was. But someone's recommending fluorine furnace. Furnace is an interesting one. So, we'll figure it out. Another interesting news development I saw was that apparently Byte Federal, who has some Bitcoin ATMs, rolled out Monero support for all their ATMs. I'm not sure how reliable these sources are. I wasn't able to reach anyone at Byte Federal, but according to some of the Bitcoin ATM tracking websites, there are about 985 ATMs of theirs that started supporting Monero in the last month. So that's one of the largest monthly jumps, if not the largest monthly jump that has happened in Monero's history. And that, of course, comes along the news that Lamasu is going to be adding Monero support by the end of the year, knowing, of course, that they don't themselves operate the ATMs. They just sell the ATM with software, and other people choose whether or not to turn it on or not. But whoever has one of those ATMs can just tick a box and turn it on. So that's pretty cool. I think that, I mean, I've probably said this 100 times, but I think that Monero is a pretty obvious asset to include in an ATM compared to really everything else. But do any of you know anything about Byte Federal? Have any of you used a Bitcoin ATM before? I've never used a Bitcoin ATM before, but I'd just kind of be curious.
I've used one once back in Vegas. I think that might have been during MoneroCon, but not since.
By
Yeah,
MoneroCon,
I
do you
don't-
mean the
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Village?
DEF CON. Yeah.
Hmm.
They all blur it after a while.
Scott, what were you saying?
Oh, nothing important. I was just going to say that I don't really use ATMs. I mean, I'm one of those probably people who is generally fine with using KYC exchanges mainly for easily recording kind of basically price purchased and so forth for tax purposes. So it's relatively easy to report. But there is one pretty close to me. So I will, I guess, maybe when I'm running errands later today, check it out and see if they have pushed Monero support to this machine.
Yeah, I haven't seen a crypto ATM anywhere around here in Ireland yet.
I see ads all over Chicago, actually. Like, there are trucks driving around with Bitcoin ATM. They're all over. But the fees are like 10% or more. Like, it just
Yeah.
seems odd to me. Like, you
Yeah.
can pull out your credit card and it's probably lower fees. So it's just weird.
I think that's been true. Yeah, that was certainly true the last time I used one as well. Pretty high fees. I
Yeah.
just did it for the novelty.
Just to say you've done it before.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Scott, how closely have you followed privacy tools over the years? Because I remember Monero used to be listed on privacy tools along with Bitcoin and Zcash, and then there was a proposal that was created to switch the order where Monero was shown first. And there was like a lot of debate over that, and they ended up just totally yanking the cryptocurrency part from their website for quite a few years. And now they added a Monero section back like this past week. Are you familiar with them at all? I haven't. I mean, I kind of stopped paying attention.
I was one of the people, along with HYC, I know made a few comments in one of the issues, but I was pretty heavily advocating for just keep it Monero on there, like trying to reconcile the issue. And I think I ultimately proposed just put it sorted by alphabetical descending and note it that it's based on alphabetical descending and not merits, and then everyone is happy. Because, you know, if you really want to, I mean, keep in mind, I think this may have been shortly after kind of the boom cycle of 2017, 2018-ish. So there's a lot of scam coins out there. You know, you have crap like you know, the Wraith protocol and so forth. So basically, like, you know, there has to be something to kind of steer users away from all this vaporware, and ultimately they opted just to kind of do a burnt earth kind of strategy and took away the section, as you said, entirely. And at that point it was like, okay, you're just arguing, and I mean, it became apparent they seemed to be bad faith actors who didn't really actually care about user privacy. And I think one of the maintainers, who was like, I forget what their name was because it's so long ago, but I think if I remember correctly, they had some history of trying to shill for some, basically what is now, I think, a dead coin. It was like Ghost Coin or something. I don't remember what the name was, but in general, just really bad faith actors that were maintainers of the website, at least at the time. And so it's like, there's no point trying to, at that point, after, commenting on, I think, 2 or 3 issues and a pull request and so forth, of like, it's not worth my energy. Just push people to Prism Break, which Prism Break at the time had Monero, and but yeah, and then I stopped following it. And so I think, you've probably seen the conversation on the Matrix rooms, but like, I think Seth and 1 or 2 other people are probably more in tune with the drama around the privacy tools community, because apparently in the last year, I guess the dev was away, or I should say the owner of the website repository was away, came back, and then there was a split between the maintainers and the actual owner. And so now it's like privacyguard.org versus
Privacy Guide.
privacytools.io. Oh, guide. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So HYC is probably more familiar than me. But yeah, so it's just it's great, I guess, that they've added support in the last week to reference Monero, and I think there was a Cake wallet ad as well. But yeah, it's just, given the history of people arguing in bad faith and deciding to just like nuke the section entirely and let people fall for scams during kind of the end of the boom cycle of circa 2018, just didn't sit right with me, so I haven't bothered to follow it particularly well. But
So do you know if, like, do people by and large not recommend that site anymore? I haven't really followed very closely.
I want to say it's, we could look at the Alexa rank, because I'm pretty sure it's relatively high up there in the Alexa rank if you look it up for like privacy guide or that kind of thing. So I am under the impression that people still tend to use it, at least on, r/privacy on Reddit and so forth, as kind of the go-to guide. Because I don't think, the EFF, the EFF has kind of guide-like resources for certain situations, but it's not as, perhaps what I would describe as easily accessible in terms of if this, then that, kind of all condensed into like a single page. But yeah, I think it still ranks pretty high in usage, which is why it's great that Monero is now there on privacy tools, but not the best of resources, I think, given the past history.
So you said
the owner going away and so forth.
Sorry, HYC, you said Privacy Hub is one people often use now?
No, it's privacyguides.org now. So basically, yeah, the owner of Privacy Tools went AWOL and nobody had heard from him for months. And the developers who were trying to maintain the site forked off to their own site because they couldn't contact the owner. So that's Privacy Guides.
I'm looking here to see if they list Monero, and I don't see anything about cryptocurrencies on here.
Yeah, I would say that, I just was looking at their site yesterday, and it seemed a lot harder to find anything useful. It's just whatever information content they have seems to be hidden behind a lot of just blah blah verbiage. So yeah, supposedly they've actually been supporting Monero somewhere on their site. I just couldn't find it.
Yeah, I think, is there, we have a few sites that do similar things, but is there just a page that just shows privacy respecting services that accept Monero or not? Because I feel like for a VPN, for example, one of the questions should be very strictly, do you take Monero, yes or no, right?
Right.
And in order to get full points, you should require that they take Monero because it's just what everybody uses, right? So I hope that, like, same thing for like web hosting or email hosting or whatever it is. I see references to support Tor as like a yes or no. It should be, do they take Monero? Yes or no? I don't expect to get much pushback in this room, but
Right.
yeah.
I haven't actually gone looking for any internet services in a long time, but my list would be like VPNs, VPSs, and actually that'd be about it.
Yeah, you sent me, I won't talk about what it was unless you want to bring it up, but you sent me some things a few months ago saying, hey, can you look into seeing if they can accept Monero or if other people do? And I looked, and it's kind of hard to reach some parts of the world on the internet. Some of these older type websites are that a lot of people rely on at times are very hard to contact.
Yeah.
So, which is probably by design or very much intentional.
That could be, yeah. I wound up using Amazon Pay for that site.
Amazon Pay? What is it? What is Amazon Pay?
Well, it's like Google Pay or Apple Pay.
Okay. Does it only work on the Amazon Fire phone or what?
No. You can use it from anywhere, but you're giving Jeff Bezos your private info instead of Tim Cook, so.
Okay.
Yeah, for what it's worth, we do have on getmonero.org a page for merchants and exchanges, and the website points to kind of basically two directories outside of the Get Monero website that show where what merchants accept Monero and whatnot. And then Seth also has a GitHub issue. Let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, number 580 to basically kind of track requests that people make towards certain merchants of like, oh, can you support this? So just so that people don't do duplicative work and so forth. So if you have a business you want to kind of persuade to use XMR, feel free to comment on the Monero project Meta repository, the issue 580, and say you've pinged such and such business. But
oh yeah, to be like, just keep track of our outreach efforts.
Yeah. And on the note of VPN services, because I've seen it kind of reposted a couple of times in the past week or so in social spheres, there's apparently at least one company that's buying out VPN review websites and VPN services. So be particularly wary of the services you consume and whose words you trust, because it could be, there are multiple websites that are owned by a single entity trying to push you towards their services, which, I mean, I'm sure people know there's a lot of crappy VPN services out there that most likely sell out your data despite whatever they may claim. So yeah, just keep your wits about you, I guess. So.
Is there a pretty easy just one-click deploy VPN service? So if I just buy a VPS and just be like, I want to make my own VPN, is it really easy? Just click a button or run one command and boom, you kind of are ready to go? Or is that not really there? Because I always get curious by people that are like super privacy conscious and they might be pushed to use a VPN. And I mean, why not just run your own?
Yeah, the last time I set it up for myself, you had a couple of different choices like OpenVPN and this IPsec Swan. And I've set both of those up. Neither of them were one-click experiences. But, eventually they work. And, more recently I subscribed to IVPN since they take Monero. And IVPN is actually pretty slick. You get a painless Android app or desktop app, and I use that more often now than my own private VPNs on my VPS.
Yeah, the only time I think I've used OpenVPN was it was bundled with one of the routers that I used before, where you could just, and it was probably paired with some dynamic DNS service, so you could just VPN to your home network. So that was easy, but it was the router doing all the hard work. It wasn't me setting it up on a VPS directly. So good. I'm glad that you've had good experiences with iVPN. They take Monero, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's the only reason I went with them.
I mean, we need people willing to put, money where their mouth is. So that's good.
And I suppose that's the other benefit of one of these commercial providers is, they actually have locations all around the world, whereas using my own VPS, I only have one location.
Right.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't claim to be a network privacy expert here, but I believe one of the drawbacks of kind of spinning up your own VPN beyond kind of also having to maintain it is that because you are essentially the only single person using that VPS, there's no kind of herd of fish or whatever to hide in. It's basically all the activity could potentially be easily basically linked to one individual rather than a whole bunch of people.
That's why you just run a Tor exit node from the same IP. Okay, that's just.
So there you go. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm running Tor and I2P on my VPS too, but otherwise, yeah, essentially there is no anonymity. It's like, yeah, you're the guy who owns this thing. You're the only one using it. It's you, right?
I mean, I know that was definitely a tongue-in-cheek thing for me, but like honestly, one of the best ways to help your privacy when sending Monero transactions is to run an open Monero node that other people can send transactions from, right? Like, I have a bunch of other people that want to send their transaction through my node. Awesome. It helps me out.
Yeah. The only problem with that, I mean, I was running my node wide open on my VPS for years, but just over time, the bandwidth usage just got to be too much.
How much was it, like terabytes and terabytes a month?
It was getting to be, yeah. And and I got a pretty decent monthly quota on that server, but it was running into it. So it's like, okay, I got to shut this down. So it's still there as a P2P node. It just doesn't do wallet service anymore.
Got it. Yeah. I just like to, I suppose abuse is the correct word, but I like to abuse the services that don't have the caps on the maximum data you can use. I'll just use the entire pipe 24/7.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There aren't any other questions. One question came through just saying, with the ring size jump to 16, how much larger or less efficient will transactions get? I think it's about 35% walk back or efficiency decrease in verification time, which is the most important thing. So, the full details are on GitHub, but it's around 35%. It scales linearly, so we don't deal with that challenge. So if you increase it by 30%, it's approximately 30% less efficient.
There you
are. There's that. I also want to just plug one quick thing I did. I was having a few issues with my node reliability where it go down and I wasn't really watching it super closely, but there's a free tool you can use, betteruptime.com, that I started using, and it'll just every minute or so ping the node and say, hey, is it up? And it'll send me an email if it is down. So it's been pretty useful to sort of track the reliability, and it doesn't cost me anything. So hopefully, I don't know, it was free. I just wanted to share that in case anybody else would be able to take advantage of that. But I didn't want to go through the whole, I'm sure Seth has crazy dashboards of tracking all the 300 services he hosts, but I just wanted something that was easy. But yeah, those are the main things I wanted to come across. Oh, there's two other CCS things that people opened in the last week or so. One is MJ doing development. I wasn't really watching their work very closely, so I'll have to refer to what either you all or Celsta or VT Nerd were getting at. But there's a new proposal open by them on ccs.getmonero.org. And there was another one that caught my attention. Someone opened up the CCS for a Monero community anthem. And it's like basically them to try to make a music video. They already made the lyrics and made the audio, but I just wanted to raise people's attention to that. I think we haven't had like a non-developer focused CCS in kind of a while. So I just thought it was interesting. I don't have a, I mean, it kind of sounds like any other cryptocurrency song where you're like, you know, I don't know how cringe this is, but I suppose as long as we're not the dash, dash, dash. I mean, it's kind of the bar to clear, I guess.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but you can check that out. I'm trying to recall how much they're specifically asking for. They work with other cryptocurrency communities too. So they linked one that they did for Polygon, for example, of course. And annoyingly, their tagline for Polygon was "Just use Polygon," and it's like, well, I mean, people have been saying "Just use Monero" for a while. But yeah, they're requesting 20 XMR. So I don't know, a little bit of money. Yeah, they opened it about a week ago. I don't know. Do you have any opinions on to what extent fun music videos are like useful in growing a Monero community? I have to say, one of my favorite, actually not one of my favorite, well, yeah, one of my favorite cryptocurrency related music videos remains to this day the BitConnect It's Amazing music video. I'll make sure to share that in the YouTube chat. But it's like, it's catchy, it's stupid, it's like give us money and we'll make you rich type video, but it's catchy, you know? It has a high production quality.
Well, hey, if it'll get some traction on TikTok.
Yeah,
it'll
exactly. Yeah,
reach
we have
this
TikTok
generation.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do we make things viral on TikTok? I don't know anything about being viral on TikTok or anything like that.
You know, I mean, TikTok is a Chinese company, right? So when China goes full on banning cryptocurrency, then that's all gonna go away.
Yeah, that's true. They could, you know, set up the algorithm to basically not have anything Monero related in the people's feeds, I guess.
Yeah.
You did see the fun troll that people post about the fact that like Alibaba stopped selling Bitcoin miners, but we're like, well, they can't stop selling Monero miners.
Yeah.
That was a pretty funny thing to laugh about on Reddit and Twitter. That was probably about a month ago.
Yeah, I remember retweeting that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's most of what I had. You know, again, if you have any other questions, you can put them in the chat. But HYC, Scott, you have anything that you wanted to discuss today?
Not that I can think of. I didn't come here with prepare anything, so
Yeah, didn't come here with an agenda.
yeah, just here to answer people's questions. So.
Got it. One thing we did do is we linked the Monero Meets to Odyssey. I also did the same for the Monero Community Workgroup channel. So I don't really use Odyssey, but people can use it now to watch a lot of the videos. Sadly, it doesn't link over an hour-long videos from this channel yet because we don't have 1,000 subscribers. So, you know, just click that little button to help us bridge. If you want it to be bridged to Odyssey, you need to click that subscribe button. Not to be a YouTuber, but yeah. I guess, is there anything else that you think people should look forward to in the next month or so on the Monero ecosystems side of things?
Well, you know, we talked about the ring size increase, but what about Bulletproofs Plus? And that's going to be part of that same hard fork, right?
Yeah, that'll cut size by about 5 to 10%. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
It'll help offset some of the gain and inefficiency that we're going to be taking on. Oh, so Ko couldn't be on today, obviously, but he ran some initial numbers on a proposed implementation of Seraphis that's very, very rough. But even so, it was similarly efficient as Triptych, which is good because that was pretty efficient to begin with. So good news there. And during the last Monero Research Lab meeting, he sent over a table on some potential ways of setting up Monero transactions or using keys that reveal certain types of information. We have a few options. For example, we could, in theory, make it so that there's one key where it could see the output that's coming into an address, but they wouldn't be able to see the amount of that output, which is very different than how it occurs today, where you can see both. We probably won't go that way for several reasons, but that is one thing that is on the table that we didn't have or we don't have at the moment. So that's kind of cool. And it also would include better Janus attack prevention. So on this channel, I have something about, on the Monero Community Work Group channel, one of the Breaking Monero videos is about the Janus attack with subaddresses. And we haven't padded transactions in a way on Monero now that would address this. So this is a way to do some more fancy key structure setup so that the transactions don't need to be more inefficient in order to do this. Instead, you basically just have longer addresses. So they're even longer than they are right now, but that doesn't matter because we have all the fun stuff like open alias and QR codes. So
I've seen a QR code that was something like 4 inches square. I mean, it gets a little ridiculous after a point, doesn't it?
Hey, Monero QR codes are going to be smaller than Zcash's like integrated address QR codes. It's have like 4 addresses or something in one QR code. So we're smaller than those, I guess. So if they make it work, then we should be able to make it work. So big QR codes instead of information on chain. Yay. All right, so I guess as the holiday season comes across, is there anything that we should do as just a fun Monero community event? I mean, I've done trivia in the past. We've done board games. What else would be something that people would actually want to show up and have fun doing? Do we need to do like Secret Santa? Like, what do we need to do?
Well, yeah, I've seen a couple of pictures on Twitter recently with Monero pumpkin carving.
Yeah, I wish I was skilled to be able to do that, but like that is very intimidating. They've done a really good job at their pumpkin carving. Pumpkin carving. It's okay, James. I think if I remember correctly, you were the one that did this out of the world Monero pumpkin. So it's like, hey, I just painted the Mona Lisa. Let's now have a painting contest. It's like, well, what am I supposed to bring to the table? But yeah, James, that's a pretty good idea. If you can get some people that want to do a pumpkin carving contest, I mean, I'm totally down to host it or something. I don't know what I would contribute, but it would be a good thing to do. We're getting to the holiday season. Halloween's next Sunday, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Monero community is, increasingly, I guess, more mainstreamish, and not but I mean, I'm sure there's still plenty of people out there who have like 3D printers and whatnot, and even then you don't necessarily have to have a 3D printer, but I mean, people can, have a go at designing 3D printable like Christmas tree ornaments or whatever for the winter holidays, and sharing out the 3D print design on Thingiverse or whatever, so people can also print it. But that could be a thing as well. But
you get 3D print entire pumpkins, so you don't have to carve it yourself.
Yeah, it's reusable, right? Just take it out every year.
You can use it as your trick-or-treating bucket. Yeah.
Imagine trying to explain that to people like at the door.
Hey, why not? Community outreach.
That's right. Gotta start somewhere.
That's it. Start with kids. That's the way forward.
Yeah, buy the super big candies, and then they associate Monero with, big candy.
There you go.
Well, I encourage people to run with some Halloween ideas. If you have anything interesting, make sure you share them on Reddit, Monero Space Forum, Twitter, wherever it would make sense. Element, and people want to do fun stuff. So if you actually have a cool idea, like people will be drawn to the cool idea. And if you don't have a better idea, maybe I'll just do a meme competition again and just choose Halloween themed memes or something. I don't know. We'll make it work somehow. We'll do something. But unless there's anything else, we might just wrap this one up early. That way it'll be Bridge to Odyssey, less than an hour long. But yeah, some people saying James's Pumpkin Rocks. If you haven't seen James's Monero Pumpkin, it's very, very cool. You should look at it. That's clearly someone with skill with the knife. Any final words, HYC or Scott?
No. Oh, sure. Final word. Mine on P2 Pool.
Mine on P2 Pool. Yeah, that's a good one. Do you still have to build that from scratch, or there?
There's pre-built binaries now.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So yeah, now you have no excuse.
That's it.
Did you check the hash rate at any point? I remember it was like 3% last time we did one of these.
Yeah, let me see. It's around 60 or 70 mega hash. I don't know what percentage of the network that is right now.
So yeah, I think the only thing for me, at least, well, HYC's checking on that, is just like I said before, make sure you're wary of, I guess, what, at least for VPN services anyway. If you're in the market for a VPN service, wary of what review sites you use and so forth, given the consolidation that's happening around for-profit kind of companies. So
yeah, be careful. Be careful out there. You have to trust the VPN provider, so
yes,
keep that in mind.
Looks like we lost a little hash rate. We're at about 2% right now.
No. How am I supposed to say we've had exponential growth in P2 Pool?
It's just a negative exponent, man.
I think there's what, like 2 or 3.
Goodness. I guess I need exponential growth with something. Sorry.
There's a couple of GUIs. No, that's fine. I've talked plenty. I was gonna say there's plenty of GUIs, I think, out there in development. There's at least what, 2 or 3 now that have been funded or otherwise already started. So once, it becomes easier to kind of jump into P2P pool, I imagine it'll probably go up, but number go up, as it were.
Plug into the GUI. Or make it in the daemon, just be like, would you like to start mining with the P2 pool? Yes. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining the Monero Meet this month. We'll see you about a month from now. Make sure to check the calendar because we have the Monero Space meeting. So I think this one might be in 5 weeks. The next one might be in like 5 weeks or so from now instead of 4. Well, or whatever. Just check the calendar.
Second Saturday, I think, is what you mentioned.
Oh, so it might be in 3. It might be in. Okay, we'll have the next one in 3 weeks then, instead of 4. So we'll see you again sooner than normal. And until then, make some pumpkins, do some fun things. We'll make sure to have some fun Monero community events this holiday season to bring people together. And if you have any ideas on how to do that, let us know. Join Matrix, join Monero Space Forum, join Reddit, Twitter, all the fun stuff. We're here. Thanks, HYC. Thanks, Scott, for joining me today. It was fun having you guys on, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
All right. Take it easy.
Yep.